In a world utterly consumed by the trivial, history is often made in silence. On this night, on a remote stretch of the Tamil Nadu coast, the fate of an entire civilization was decided. Most of the planet was looking at their phones, scrolling past the news. But inside that fortified concrete dome, a small group of scientists, men and women who had carried the weight of a 70-year-old dream held their collective breath. At the precise second, a monitor displaying nothing more than a simple graph flickered. It was the moment of criticality, a word that to the untrained ear screams catastrophe. But in the hallowed, high-stakes realm of a nuclear physicist, it is the sound of a holy grail. It meant the Prototype Fast Breeder Reactor, a mechanical sun, had been ignited. And in doing so, India had achieved the impossible, a machine that creates more energy than it consumes. Welcome to Madras Defence Academy. Today I'm going to tell you a story. But this story is not about a nuclear reactor, or it is not even about physics. It is a 70-year-old geopolitical thriller, an isolation of a global cabal and securing the energy of a 1.5 billion society. This story is about the greatest heist in modern nuclear energy. To grasp the audacity of 2026 achievement, we need to go all the way back to 1947. Yes, you're right, the day we got independence. While all of India was celebrating, one man was celebrating even more. Why was he celebrating so much? It is not because India got freedom. It was because he had secured a secret deal with the United Kingdom for selling 9,000 tons of monazite sand. His name is C.P. Ramaswamy. He was the Diwan of the Travancore board, and he had succeeded in convincing his Maharaja, that is the King of Travancore, to not join the Republic of India and to remain independent. This sand was not just soil, it was the raw, unrefined key to the nuclear age. So this is where two titans of independent India had entered. One is of course the Iron Man himself, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and the other is the father of India's atomic energy, Dr. Homi Bhabha. India possesses almost none of the world's uranium. However, we possess 25% of the world's thorium. 25%, 1/4. With this amount of thorium, Bhabha realized that not only the next 5 years, but India can be self-sustained for the next 5 centuries. Post the conversation with Dr. Bhabha, Patel realized the importance of Kerala and the Kingdom of Travancore. So he did not just negotiate, he asserted an absolute iron-fisted veto over the mineral rights. If they could just build the key and then unlock it, India would never again have to kneel to any foreign power for a single lump of coal or a drop of oil. The war for the atom did not begin with a bomb. It began with a grain of sand. Bhabha's plan was a masterpiece of defiance, the 3-stage nuclear program. Stage 1, get the initial power. Stage 2, breed the future fuel. Stage 3, unleash the limitless power of thorium. But in January 1966, the unstoppable momentum of a nation's dream was pulverized. Dr. Homi Bhabha was en route to Vienna. His plane, the magnificent Kanchenjunga, slammed into the unforgiving face of Mont Blanc. All 117 souls vanished. The official verdict of the plane crash? A routine clerical pilot error. But the investigation did not stop there. It was linked to one of the most notorious and shadowy organizations in the world. Yes, the clandestine CIA. So, Homi Bhabha was the man who was leading India to the next century, and the CIA wanted to derail that at all costs. A global shadowy nuclear cabal had watched Bhabha's progress with chilling anxiety. Was this a deliberate act of sabotage? An assassination orchestrated by the CIA to cut the head of India's nuclear ambition? Decades later, melting glaciers yield a terrifying clue. Top secret. Indian government documents frozen into wreckage. Truth, for now, remains buried in the ice. India explodes nuclear device. This was the blaring, aggressive news headline from 1974. The world's answer to the Mont Blanc tragedy was swift, cold, and calculated. In 1974, under the defiant leadership of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, India shocked the globe with smiling Buddha. The retaliation was brutal. The United States, Canada, and other associated countries formed a group called as Nuclear Supply Group, NSG. Their reaction to India's Operation Smiling Buddha was brutal. They made India a nuclear pariah. We were not given access to even the basic materials like valves, sensors, and pumps. It was clear, if you are not going to be following their plan, their lead, you would be isolated. This forced our scientists to rethink what needs to be done. I mean, if they are not going to sell their parts to us, if they are not even going to teach how to make their parts, then there is only one option really left. We make it ourselves. A move taken by the world to break us actually forged something bigger, stronger, and better, as you know it today as Atmanirbhar Bharat. So our scientists started building everything from the scratch. The sanctions which were meant to destroy us helped forge us to become something strong, something unbreakable, and something which is going to lead humanity to the next generation of energy. Let's understand why the world's most powerful nations call this reactor impossible. Imagine your fire is small. You have an ocean of fuel right next to it. Those wet logs, but you can't burn them. In a standard reactor, the fire eventually dies. But in a breeder reactor, you push those wet logs into the heart of the inferno. The fire throws off the ferocious, invisible projectile, fast neutrons. These sparks are so violent, so energetic, that they literally perform an act of alchemy. They dry out the wet logs and turn them into new fuel while the fire is still burning. You end up with more fuel than you started with. You are literally breeding energy. But there is a price for this power. To keep the fire hot enough for this impossible alchemy, you cannot use water. You must use liquid sodium. Sodium is a chemist's nightmare. It's a metal that flows like water, but if it touches a single drop of air or moisture, it explodes. The US surrendered, France failed. Japan poured 12 billion into their Monju reactor only to have it leak sodium and catch fire. They all quit. India stayed. For 22 grueling years, India fought the sodium dragon. This was not a slow-paced government project. This was a rapid national mobilization. India spent close to 8,181 crores into this project. Major companies like L&T and Godrej to small MSMEs were involved in the success of this project. They did not just assemble parts, they manufactured them. They indigenously built them. Bharat Forge built nuclear parts which were thought impossible to be done by. On April 6, 2026, when the nuclear reactor spark was lit, India became only the second country in the world to have a commercial industry-grade fast breed reactor, only after Russia. This was the sound of 70 years of defiance, a victory forced by sheer willpower and Indian ingenuity. The prototype fast breeder is not the end of the story. It is just the end of stage 2, and it is manufacturing the fuel required to fulfill Bhabha's vision for stage 3. The verdict is final. India's thorium can now serve the country for the next 400 years. We are now immune from energy sanctions from the nuclear cabal. We don't have to worry about any sanctions in the energy sector going forward. By 2047, the centenary year of our independence, India aims to build a 100 gigawatt energy supplying nuclear grid. From a single sand to 100 gigawatt of nuclear energy. This is not a dream. This is just a progressive step of success. India did not just build a nuclear reactor. We built a sun on our shores.